Molweni emakhaya and welcome to Makwande once again. Igama lami nduNokzola Qamlana ndihleli apha notata uBhekuyise Ndlovu noChuma Malangeni. Niyakhumbula ke kule veki igqithileyo besithethe ngani ngenyanga yomhlala phansi. Ingathi ungasirecaphela yona Chuma uba kanene besitheni.
So basically we spoke about the retirement annuity and the period of taking retirement. So we just touched on the fact that that period is a very important time in each and every one of our lives because that's where we start. It's the end. It's the beginning at the end.
Yeah, with the end in mind.
Yes, 100%. So it's just a continuation of our lives after we've stopped being employed fully. So it's just how to take care of our families, take care of ourselves in a period where we are no longer employable.
Yeah. And pretty much you can always go back and check the video out on our channel. Alright, and then namhlanje ke sizothetha ngento ibizwa i-risk profiling, and then xa ibizwa i-risk profiling kuthiwa i-profile yobungozi. Tatubeke mhlawumbe ungayiqala yintoni i-profile yobungozi?
Engathanda ukuthi ngisho good morning to the viewers, good morning to Chuma, and good morning to yourself, Nokzola. So engathanda ukuthi ngibeke ukuthi the risk profiling or ubungozi obukhona when you invest, it's a norm empilweni. In every action that you take,
yeah,
there is a risk into everything. The mere fact which you are alive, you are just exposed to so many risks. So it also involves investments. Any investment, because you don't have the full control of everything that surrounds an investment. So mhlawumbe masi siyasikhuluma, we might touch those particular points, but in general, in every step or action that you take or any choice that you make, it involves element of risk. Yes.
Okay. Mhlambe ke Chuma ungasicacisela mhlambe some examples, one or two ezichazayo ukuthi inzinobungozi. And I think ubhekibeke sisishilo, but mhlambe you can say something more about that.
As in the types of
bungozi
that are related
to
okay, so we typically have three examples or categories of risk in when we are trying to look at investments. So the first one, usually, I'll just briefly go through it. The first one that we face or that we have for our clients or the people who are looking to go into investments is conservative. So I don't know how to put conservative in the scene to conservative. Okay. Yeah. So it's no conservative, it's no moderate can do pagat.
Yeah.
So you have one foot on the other side and one foot on the other side, and then no go aggressive. So just to break it down, with the conservative, it includes someone who is not really in for major returns. Funimali actually safe basically. So if in fact 50 rand, at least 50 rand my corner back. That's a conservative investor. Capital in one way or the other, it's safer in that specific investment. And then you moderate. So you moderate like this or there's one foot on the other side, one foot on the other side. There again we are looking for risk moderated
masenze ngayo le example ye 50 rand. Okay. Now again over 50 rand and it's low conservative wants to keep at least le 50 rand le
Mayingahambi, yeah.
so moderate
So
unjani ke
moderate ke ngoku if siyakule into ye-50 rand umuntu omoderate uzofuna uba at least akwazi ukwenza noba yilo 10 rand
ngaphezulu
yabona on top of the 50 rand instead of uba enze like a lot of profit but at the same time akafuni uba imali yakhe ibe too much at risk.
okay
So there you choose a portfolio that you know it performs moderately over a certain period of time.
okay
And then we go back and we say aggressive. Leyo gqibela ke ngoku. Enola aggressive, yes. actually. So ke ngoku aggressive ke ngoku you find someone who's profit driven. They understand the concept of risk. They understand that in order for you to make money, in order for you to excel or venture into certain aspects, like you said, in life in general, there's a risk element attached to it. So there again, you understand risk fully, and you can accept by if it's let's say it's a long-term investment, you can accept that over the short term you are facing a bigger risk, but over the long term, that's when things will start showing in terms of your benefit and your reward. So I don't know if I've explained it.
Ngiyathemba ukuthi iyezwakala. Angazi noma ke ubabheki would want to add to that.
Okay, so for me, ngakuthatha ngubeke ngithi again i-risk or ubungozi boku-investor singakubeka sithi it's an appetite to see how big is your appetite.
Ulambeka kangakanani?
Yes. Ulambeka kangakanani for you to either preserve ungalahlekelwa yilokhu okuinvestile or kukhule kancinci or kukhule kakhulukazi. So now leyo appetite ye evezayo ichazayo ukuthi what type of a client you are, because one thing that you need to take note when we enter into a field of investing, so ungalahlekelwa iyo yonke icapital yakho. And that is seen by people who are mostly aggressive. Anybody othi mhlawumbe ule risk appetite aggressive, that person is standing from a position of saying I'm willing to even lose everything if it be. The reason being, when you look at investment, you are looking at a point where you are saying to yourself, yes, I want growth, and then I am willing to expose my whatsoever, whether it's money or it's a business deal. It can go left, it can go right. You are willing to take that standing position. So like for instance, if somebody is entering into a business, there is no guarantee that the business will be successful. An investment. So those people who are aggressive, they're already accepting the losses even before there's a loss. That's the way how who accept ingozi ekhona, yabona. You see. And then versus where we have about conservative, their appetite incane, and they are happy, bayajabula even bengathola the least that they can get out of the investment because their appetite incane. Fana nokuthola umuntu osuthiyo kahle kahle akanayo appetite yabona. So i-appetite yabo incane because bafuna ukuvikela lokho abanakho. So the whole idea is to conserve or protect what I have. They are all about concerned about protecting what they have. They are protecting what they have, though they want to see growth, but main purpose is to protect.
So how would you, let's say I am a conservative investor, how would you, but at the same time I'm still looking to make proper returns out of my journey in the investments space, right? So I come to you and then you figure out that I'm a conservative investor, but at the same time you see that my financial goals are of someone who maybe does not belong in that certain category. I don't know if it makes sense.
Okay.
Mm.
Yes.
So how would you like address? Yeah, ndonjalo.
So in that event, and then you need to be honest to the client, because in the sense which having expectations are phezulu, but yet at the same time you are agreeing ukuthi wena kahle kahle uzibona nje ungulo muntu ole appetite encane, making you conservative. So obviously imbuzo ethize to help that client will be, how would you feel if you lose the money? Get that feeling from the person, because unfortunately where money is concerned with certain investors, also emotions are also involved. And not only just that, kuba sekutheni, are you capable to lose that money? If you say no, I'm not capable to lose that money, so whether you so desire to have high growth is irrelevant to you, because you are not willing to take the risk. So now it's all about what are you willing to take as a risk. It has to go both ways. If you are willing to take the risk, then you are willing to get higher returns. If you are not willing to take the risk, and then let's stick to what you are willing to take.
Khumbulani ke bantu emakhaya ukuthi sikhuluma ngeprofile yobungozi. So ingabe wena uyafuna na ukuthatha ubungozi obuningi noma obuncane? Kumele uzikhethela ngithi. And then ke ngizocela ke siqhubekeni nge-discussion yethu sikhulume ngokuthi idalwa kanjani lento le. Uma ngabe ngiyiclient ke manje sengila ngiyadinga ukuthi ngithathe i-profile yobungozi, yini steps ezilandelayo?
Okay. So, but I think Gupego was a bit because he had already touched on it in the last question. So, usually what is a tool that is used by planners or in the financial services space is a tool that we call a risk profiling tool. Yeah. So a low tool, it's more like a survey that helps you dig into the emotions of the client with asking questions like, how would you feel? Like I said, how would you feel if you would lose imali? Is it your last money that you are taking out for this specific investment? And also the period of time that you want to invest. Because also the time period also has an effect on the kind of investor you end up being. So for instance, if you are looking to invest over the long term, that's usually 7 to 10 years or 10 to 15, then it would want someone who is willing to accept the fact that over the short term, you won't see any real returns, you understand? So if you are able to then accept low part layer, even if it takes more than 5-10 years and imali and gaiboni in that specific period, because over, for example, if we would be invested in next year at around this time, you probably won't be happy in the investment when you look at the figures, but it's not a real reflection of what will happen over the length of the investment itself. So we use tools like that to determine and help us figure out the client's mental state, the client's financial state, and the willingness to accept a risk.
Alright, so kahle kunemibuzo engiyibuzwayo, and then upon answering leyo mibuzo izochaza ukuthi ngimele
Gives a calculation at the end. Yes.
ingabe ke mukufika ku age noma ngisebenza kuphi noma ingabe lezo zinto lezo ziyangena ku risk profile?
Absolutely, ziyangena, because if ungabheka an older person oseduze ukuthi athathe umhlalaphansi, when a client is closer to retiring, they shift their goals or their manner of thinking. It changes quickly into a mindset of preserving, you see. So once you reach a stage where your mindset is all about preserving, it's not all about generating growth. It makes you to change So at one moment you might have started as an aggressive, but at one moment now you are moderate or you are conservative. It's because your goals shift based on the needs as well. And then also what we need to also, when we do the exercise, like Ukuma was saying, we mainly look at how you react to certain fluctuations of the market. So Hula Local City is the market. The market is the one that determines which direction all investments are going, depending on which type of an investment it is. And also there are other factors like your politics, your economy, they also play a role. So sometimes it's easier if you meet a client who is well versed about these things, political, economy, and how the rand is doing, all of these things, and how the economy is performing, because it helps you to make an informed decision. So you are not a panic mode of a client. When you see things happening, you do not panic, because remember, it's all about how you react. In the investment space, one thing that even the investors or our fund managers, what they do not want is to the public to have a panic mode or to be in a panic mode. Once everybody is in a panic mode, and then they want to draw out of the investments. So it's one thing that we always try to avoid and try to control, that the public is not in a panic mode. So it also goes down to the individual, which how do you react when certain things happen?
No, yes,
to also asking, like, Anity, I'd asked also, let's say I'm someone who has ambitions of being maybe an aggressive investor, but in reality I'm conservative. Now if I flip it and then let's say I am aggressive, but at the same time I'd like to preserve, because you mentioned also the need to preserve capital. So in terms of diversifying a client's portfolio, what do you look at in that aspect?
Okay, so again, it goes back to the type of questions that we get to ask. One of the questions is all about establishing what kind of wealth do you have at the present stage? Okay, do you have other investments or other portfolios that you can fall back on? Because you can be an old person but still say, you know what, I'm at a position where I am stable financially. I don't mind losing this 1 million. So because I don't mind losing the 1 million, I'm willing to put this 1 million in an aggressive portfolio. So now, first of all, we have established that this client is stable, is wealthy, he doesn't care much about losing 1 million. Losing 1 million to you won't impact your lifestyle.
Yes.
But it's a different case when a client is old and it's the only 1 million that they've got. So you see, it's now two scenarios, two different scenarios. One client, on the other hand, is not willing to take any more risk with that 1 million because it's the only one that they have. They can't take chances. But on the other one, besides this 1 million, he's got 15 million aside
That he can fall back on.
So this 1 million, whether he loses it or he doesn't, so to him, he can maintain an aggressive portfolio even if he's old, you see. But the other one, even if he wants to be aggressive, but he can't take a chance. Yeah, he can't take a chance.
No, iyazwakala. All right, so kahle kahle la kwaMkwande ne, the main goal mostly is to educate abasha bethu about la magama asebenziswayo and for you to be able to build wealth for yourself. So nakho ke ngimusha babubeki and yini knowledge esingayiphasa on to our youth concerning risk profiling yabo.
Okay, So what I will say is the earlier you start, the better, because all investments, they look at the term. And because the term is longer, you will be driven to maybe to land in an aggressive portfolio or a moderate aggressive portfolio, because we are looking at the term. And the reason being, our investments, or every investments in general, they don't move in a straight line or in a straight projection or in a downward projection all the time. They are always fluctuating, but they fluctuate in such a way that there is growth. So your investment can take a dip. At one moment it's going down, and then it recovers again, and then it goes down, and then it recovers. And also, let's not forget that while that is happening, the fluctuations are happening, there's also called compound interest also taking into play. Compound interest, it simply means it's compounding what is already there. And now compounding interest also works better in the long shot. That's why it's important when somebody is investing is to have that framework or mindset to say, I'm not gonna plant now and expect to reap tomorrow. Whatever I'm gonna plant now, I'm gonna allow it to grow. I'm gonna give it time. I'm gonna make sure that I'll look for an harvest probably 5, 10, 15 years or 20 years from now. So it has to be in the mindset of the investor, which regardless of the fluctuations, I'm not gonna react emotionally and try to pull out, but I'm gonna make sure I stick to the goal up until the end. So that's what it's all about, because in the long run, you realize that you will generate good growth if you remain in an investment. But when you keep pulling out, and then you won't see much of a growth. Yeah.
So that is one thing that I wish I had told my younger self. I wish I had said, "Ala ngoku." And ingxaki kuba we find ourselves in families where there's so much lack that and responsibility for that first one asekuqaleni. Chuma into ongamxelela yona loya mfana loya girl or sagqiba isikolo uthola umsebenzi.
Okay, so for someone who's new to like a new professional, it's very important to set goals for yourself as an individual. It doesn't always have to be, let's say, retirement. It can also be just an investment goal where you're looking to go on a holiday or looking to buy something for your parents. Okay, since we said someone who's just started working, maybe floating a couch for your parents, or something of that would need you to, let's say, save up before you make that purchase. So what I would say then to those people is that setting goals allows you to develop the mindset that Ubegi was talking about in understanding investments and how they operate. So you can start with about 1 to 5 years, which is required as short to medium term. That's where maybe you can try and save up for a car for yourself or a holiday rather. That's when you'll be able to gather the knowledge and gather how investments actually operate, because if you then do understand that the market does fluctuate and they do take emotional decisions in terms of wanting to leave the trade or leave the investment when things are not performing well. So those are like the starting steps, or they can guide you as a young professional into understanding in depth the space of investment. So I think that's my 2 cents to that.
Can I just add something onto that? I myself, I'll also say, adding onto what you're saying. It's sad that unfortunately, probably, let me say, amongst the black community, yes, it's true, there's so much of responsibilities to take care of one another and so forth. But I will say probably it's high time that we start developing a culture where we start speaking of finances from an early age amongst our peers, amongst our family members, and most of all, to have a culture where we adopt the culture of the lion. The lion, let me say, the male lion has got a culture where I eat first. Now, China, we like to spend first. We don't like to serve first. So we've got a culture of spending. We don't have a culture of saving. We don't have a culture of preserving. I also like E220. E220, they've got a culture of saving before they eat. You see. So if we could develop that kind of a culture, whether young or old, it will be so helpful that what I get first before probably I spend it, let me save it. You see. And tell yourself that if I'm going to be investing this, whether it's 500 Rand or 1,000 Rand per month, it's not mine. Don't consider it yours. Because part of investing, it needs discipline. Lots and lots of discipline. So you need to tell yourself that what I'm putting, I am really saying to myself, I have to stick to the goal. I have to stick to the plan. I have to develop that culture that I don't eat before I have saved. You know, have that culture, you know. I know it's difficult, but to be honest, we really need to have that kind of a paradigm shift where we're saying we're not going to spend before we save.
Yeah. No, ngibonge kakhulu kubabheki nokuthi uchuma, and na gini emakhaya for staying tuned and listening. Kumbula ke mangabe unombuzo, you can post it in our comment sections and we will get to them and we will give you answers. Siyabonga kakhulu for joining us today.